the camera. There we go.
Hey, well, that's what YouTube's all about, are pictures. Okay, we haven't, I'm recording this, but I am going to cut it up and uh, add an intro and an outro to it because I actually have music that I'm going
Okay.
to and stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a lot of pride and pleasure that I get to introduce one of my first guests. He was going to be my first guest, but it didn't quite happen that way because of what's the old saying? Life is what happens when you're making other plans. So anyway, this is Larry Brown. He lives in near what's the town?
We live in Claremont, Florida. It's about 25 miles west of Orlando.
Okay, and the interesting thing about this is that Larry is my older brother, much older, and he suffers from essential tremor too. And so I thought it would be fun to talk to somebody who has chosen not to have DBS surgery, as I have had, and just get his thoughts and stuff as far as like the day to day. And I would encourage anybody out there who has a story to tell to get a hold of me as well. And because that's what I want to turn this into is a forum for essential tremor, because there are as many stories as there are people who have ET. So, Larry, start with the day you retired. No, just kidding.
I first noticed my tremors in my mid 50s, um, and nothing more than an annoyance at the beginning. But they became progressively worse, really affecting mostly, almost exclusively, the fine motor skills in my hands. Uh, the only thing I think I've really had to give up was model building. Um, Other than that, because my life is pretty stress free these days, I'm able to dampen the tremors with propranolol. Right now, I'm on 80 milligrams a day, and really pretty much can do most anything I want. It's occasionally the tremors are an annoyance eating. Um, I may take another pill before we go out to dinner, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But um, really, it hasn't been a big uh, handicap, a big uh, downer in my life. And for that reason, I've chosen not to so far, chosen not to do anything more than the medication route.
Well, I did talk to you earlier today about this Willem ball, and um, I don't have any dog in this fight, but I did interview someone from Australia who received one from Willem Med, and it took about a week because uh, the whole story will. I'll take you to the website in just a minute, but it was kind of fascinating um, that it took about a week, and she woke up in the mornings in a fog. Uh, she uses different terms, but essentially, it took almost a week for the brain to figure out what was going on in her hand, and she would use it 3 times a day, 10 minutes, and then I
Yep.
assume that's once per hand. I don't know, uh, but it looks like honestly. Uh, if that had been out a year ago, I probably would have tried it before I, you know, went the surgery route. But that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention. So,
Because if I can improve from where I am with something as simple as physical. I look at it as physical therapy,
mhm.
maybe, but
Yep.
yeah, oh, that would be ideal. as I said, on a day-to-day basis, I'm not too impacted by the tremors. What few checks we write, I have Kate write, my wife,
Yes.
uh, and a few things like that, filling out forms and so forth. And then sometimes I can get up in the morning and I can print quite legibly. Uh, I have no idea why, other than may have mentioned my life has been awfully stress free the last 10 years in retirement. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to make any wife jokes. Okay, that's too easy. But no, well, Larry, that's great. I mean, obviously, I'm still working. I'm a school teacher, as a matter of fact.
yeah, cool.
Um, so, and I still love my photography and stuff like that. Now, when we went to Kenya a couple of years ago, I was able to rest my camera always on something. But if I had a hand hold it, it would have been doing this.
Right. Right.
And even earlier on, when my tremors weren't so bad, what I would do with the camera is, you've got that neck strap. I would pull it tight against the neck strap, and that would allow me to turn as a unit, so I could
Yeah.
pan without shaking too much.
Yeah.
But the even with that, the technology for that has gotten amazing. I'm actually using a secondary recording device over here, um, and I don't know if I can turn this. It, yeah, it's out of view. It's pretty rough looking over there. Um, but when I take this, it's a tiny little camera, and if I pan it by hand, it automatically smooths things out. So the technology is catching up with the problem that they didn't even know existed because they couldn't have cared less. So, but I'm curious now. One of the big issues you talked about handwriting. When I After I had the surgery, I'm discovering all these little things that I never thought about, and one of them is being able to write. And I can actually write cursive again. I'd lost that ability for, I don't know, 5 years ago. But like you, there would be that rare day where I would wake up and I would, and everything was fine. And then the next day it was awful again.
Yeah. Well, you still being in the workforce, you would encounter problems much more than I, um, because of things that you needed to get done. And
Right.
if you were having difficulty getting them done, oh, you know, I have trouble with the keyboard, double strikes, on a regular basis, that kind of thing. But uh, I I've learned to let everything kind of roll off my back, just water off the duck. I just don't get upset, keeps the stress down, and I so again, I it just is not a big impact on my life, thankfully. Uh, thankfully. So
Well, we being my neurologist, neurosurgeon, and stuff, in these various discussions that we had, a lot of my tremor was anxiety based.
oh
And I was, and you remember me when I was a lot younger. I was always a DEFCON 3, seemingly.
yeah,
It was just one of those things. And I think in my case, it just because I had the gene for it to begin with, it just kind of caught up to me. I do want to discuss propranolol with you because um, you at one time said your doctor was trying to wean you from propranolol and take nothing but primidone. I'm
that
assuming. Go
that
ahead.
was the just that I no longer see. I I thought about I've been with him a year and a half, and I've gotten nowhere except he trying to cut me off propranolol. I tried Primadone, and I think you had a similar experience. It kind of made me feel like a zombie, just uh, like I was sleepwalking through the day. So I cut out the Primadone, went back to him, and he alluded to the fact that he's still got some other meds that he can try.
Mhm.
But a year and a half in, and this is where I am taking propranolol. I I just decided not to go back to him because I'm living okay with the propranolol, which my primary care physician is willing to prescribe. So,
Well, it's in retrospect, I almost wished, because they talk about a class one, two, three, and four drugs for treatment of essential tremor.
mhm,
And I was always mistaken because I said to my neurologist, I said, "Oh, you've got me at the class one. Let's try the class two," thinking it's like 2 stars versus 1 star.
yeah,
No, that's typical medical hoo-ha. It's backwards. The most the most efficacious is the first level, the number one level. However, I would have liked to have tried. There was one in particular that I can't recall the name of, but it um, uh, it was another heart medication, but in this, and it was one of those things that I got secondhand. Um, Somebody was talking to a doctor and said, "Oh, you have a tremor, take," and it starts with a T. That's all I can remember. Um, and that's actually a second or third level drug when you look
okay,
it up. But I would have liked to have tried it. Give me the opportunity to to have it not work out, because
yeah.
propranolol for me, no way. It just I put on 30 pounds seemingly overnight.
Oh wow,
I've been rock steady, and then I was rock steady. It just all of a sudden I ballooned up. I was swelling of ankles, and if you look up the side effects of propranolol, depending on the list that you find, you can find anywhere from 2 to 3 dozen reported side effects, and these are not the trace ones. These are not the the ones that you're going to run into uh, occasionally. These are known side effects.
yeah.
Obviously, weight gain was right up there, but it went everything else down to sexual side effects. It was miserable.
Well, that's unfortunate. I think my primary care at the time had to be at least 15 years ago. Started me on propranolol, and so I was quite a bit younger and maybe more able to tolerate the propranolol, or my system got used to it. I don't know, but it has worked for me for a lot of years. Not totally, but it dampens the tremors.
Well, and the funny part is, as similar as you and I are in our upbringing, background, and everything else, we're still 6.5, 7 years apart in age, and not completely different personalities, but we're different types of people.
Yeah,
And so that all enters into it. I mean, you've had issues over the years that never had to worry about. And even though I've been asked about it, when they do the surveys and stuff.
yeah.
But um, anyway, I'm not sure how to do this. I did want to go to the website. Did you take a look at Willem Ball?
Yes,
Okay, it
very,
can. I'm sorry.
very interesting. I was a little taken aback by the price. It looks like it might be 400 US, but uh, we'll give it a
It's you're you're very close. It's 380 because it did the conversion for me
okay.
when I went to the website. So, but I'm sure there's shipping on top of it. I would also, if you're seriously thinking of doing it, um, look up, and I would recommend that you do this anyway on Instagram or Facebook. Look up Shaky Nan, Shakeynan, And for those of you who are listening, I will post that. There'll probably be a graphic that we'll post when I post this on YouTube. But if you mention her name at checkout, it's like a €50 discount.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, he actually posted um, comments or review on the website. I think it's the same one. No
Shaking
longer
hand.
Ann.
Yeah. And she's the lady that I mentioned. She's the, I did her interview a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And frankly, I was waiting to interview you, and I've got a few other things to do with the graphics. My daughter, who is a graphic designer and Larry's niece, is developing my logo for me. I know what I want. And it's funny how logo development goes through. Is first I'm thinking of an eyeball, it would be kind of a neat logo and stuff. And now, so I worked with it, worked with it, worked with it. And all of a sudden, one day, I realized, well, what is this affecting? It's affecting my brain, whatever this is. So my logo is a brain with legs, and then superimposed on top of that, and I still have to do this myself,
A
is
light,
a what? A lightning
lightning
bolt?
bolt.
Well, not too far off. No, what I'm going to do is I had have any of your doctors had you do the Archimedes spiral?
No.
Okay, that's a big thing in the neurology. It pretty much tells them whether you've got the rhythmic kind of tremor. So it distinguishes essential tremor from other types of tremors that are just tremulous.
Oh,
Um, so tremendous? I don't know. Uh, anyway, um, I actually saved a picture of the last spiral I did before they turned my appliance on, and it's disjointed. I could because I'd been off of propranolol at
oh.
this point for 2 months. My hand was doing this, and so it's just this series of dashes that it you would have to be Svengali to get spiral out of that. So, but I'm going to have that morph into a smoother spiral, which you can make in Adobe Illustrator. And for those of you who don't know, I teach the Adobe products, so I'm very familiar with Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Illustrator, and even Adobe After Effects. So, anything else about life in Florida you'd like to share?
Oh gosh. It's paradise most of the time. we we get out during the summer heat. We go north for about 4 months, and we have family up in Michigan and Ohio. But no, it really enjoyed it. We moved down here a little over 25 years ago when I gave up the corporate rat race, and I have enjoyed it all 25 years.
Well, you and I have discussed this before. We're similar in that we've had multiple careers throughout our lives.
Yeah.
Because you were the high powered corporate attorney, and then went into real estate.
Yep.
And me, I floated around as my wife rose through the ranks in her chosen profession, and I got lucky. I finally figured out what I was meant to do, and that's teach. And I I won't say it's not work, because there's that old saying about, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I work every day. And sometimes they're long days,
Yeah.
but it's very rewarding what I'm doing now. And that's why I'm loath to give it up. But
Yeah.
okay. Um, well, Larry, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Um, maybe we can do it again if there's anything that you'd like. Hey, I know what I'd like. If you do end up getting one of those villain balls,
Yeah.
try it out and I'll have it back.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. It's a deal.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my brother, Larry Brown, and that's about all I can say. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
I just wanted to leave some dead air in there. Um, so everything's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it was just something came up ran through my mind about gluten while you were doing the
Oh
interview, but
yeah.
I can't remember. Um, uh, I don't know. You have the Trader Joe's in Toledo?
No, our closest one is Ann Arbor, but Maureen and I make a run up there. I'm going to say once every 6 weeks.
They've even got coffee at, ridiculously. I mean, good coffee, 3.99 for 12 ounces, which
Mhm.
we buy the premium coffees at Walmart or the grocery at they're $8 for 12-ounce bag, the premium stuff.
Oh,
So
they're more. That's cheap. If you get like Pete's coffee up here, it's expensive, 11.99 a pound, that type of thing. By the way, you probably notice if you're seeing what I'm seeing, that my is all red here, too way too red.
okay,
I go in to Premiere Pro and I literally put a thing over one half and I change the colors. I haven't been able to get the color balancing the way that I want because behind me I like the teal and orange. It's very theatrical or cinematic is what how they refer to it. But I've got three
yeah,
lights in front of me here, and I'll show you. This is what they look like. They're just these tiny little sticks.
uh-huh,
And then behind me, instead of the 8 inch, I've got the 24-inch sticks.
okay.
And boy, they do a hell of a job because I tried it with that. It leaves my whole it puts a shadow on my face. So we had to get rid of that. But anyway, Larry,
I
yo,
know what it about gluten. Have you do you have normal stools, Steve? You do. Okay. I was just going to suggest that you test for gluten sensitivity, but because when I discovered my gluten sensitivity and stopped gluten, I mean, 3, 4, 5 major symptoms went away. Um, Stuffy in the morning. I'd go through 10, 12 cleanups in the morning trying to get my sinuses clear. They were so, but if you're not having any of those symptoms, then you're lucky.
well, I have morning stuffiness and stuff, but as far as the other, now I did have it. This is kind of funny. I actually went to the doctor. Was this before my surgery or after? Anyway, and I said I've had uh, diarrhea for a month. Boy, you want to see a doctor? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! So he's putting me through all these tests, and he says, um, he wanted me to do the uh, test the stool and everything else, and I did just do a Cologuard, but that was not related to this, and it's everything's perfectly normal there. But what I was the point I was getting at was that my ever since I got off the propranolol, I'm starting to lose weight. I've lost like 14, 15 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that's a big deal. Cause I felt like this misshapen blueberry. But I've got a whole lot more energy than I used to have. Um,
Oh, good, good.
yeah. So it's just everything to do with that propranolol was for me was bad. And I
Right.
know a lot of people exist on it.
Are you taking blood pressure medication?
Not anymore.
Okay. Um, what I think I've found along the way is that I have an elevated blood pressure that was being treated or masked by the propranolol.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah. Um, so that was another reason, dual reason now to take the propranolol. But thankfully, I haven't had any of the bad juju that you have with it. So
Well, my GP was very frank. He said, "Look, we'll try different beta blockers. Anyone we tried, I was having the same leg swelling issues and stuff um, as the other." But he said something on it. He said, if you lose that 30 pounds that propranolol put on you, you probably won't need any blood pressure medication. And so I'm about 130 over 80, which is a little high, but
that's about him. Yeah.
yeah, it's I'm not going to work. I'm just going to take the weight off. We go to the gym 3 days a week.